Our previous look at Ayurvedic nutrition established the importance of individual ingredient quality, the basic building blocks of a healthy diet. But the system contains a deeper layer, the possibility that two individually healthy foods, when eaten together, can create a negative biological reaction. Inside a 16th century Indian royal kitchen, the preparation of a feast is a medical operation as much as a culinary one. The physician Acharya Bhavamitra observes the cooks not to inspect the freshness of the produce, but to ensure they aren't mixing ingredients that the texts strictly forbid from sharing a plate. To Bhavamitra, the combination of ingredients is an independent variable. The nutritional outcome of a meal is not a simple sum of its parts. It is determined by how those parts interact. When conflicting foods are consumed together, they send contradictory signals to the digestive system. This confusion causes the metabolic rhythm to break down, leaving the meal only partially processed. This incomplete digestion results in the formation of ama, a heavy, toxic metabolic waste that accumulates when the body is unable to resolve a confusing chemical mixture. Effective nutrition requires looking beyond the isolated benefits of a single superfood to understand these hidden variables of interaction. This framework is known as Viruddha Ahara, or incompatible foods. It is a system built on centuries of recording how specific food pairings affected patient digestion and energy levels. The texts provide specific warnings for daily dining. One of the most prominent examples in the Sanskrit verses is the categorical rule against consuming fish and milk in the same sitting. The logic is rooted in opposing energetic qualities. One food may have a heating effect on the blood, while the other is intrinsically cooling. When these opposites hit the stomach at once, the internal digestive fire, or Agni, is pulled in two directions. It cannot effectively break down either substance while struggling to manage the temperature conflict. This divided Agni fails to refine the food into the high-quality essence needed for tissue formation. Instead, it creates a byproduct of metabolic waste. The impact of these pairings is not universal. The severity of the reaction depends on an internal variable, the individual's unique baseline constitution and the current strength of their Agni. A food's value is therefore relative. It is only as beneficial as the specific digestive environment waiting to receive it. These interactions on the plate are further governed by the macroenvironment. In the system of Ritucharya, the time of year is a primary variable. The external climate dictates what the internal system can successfully process. For example, a heavy, nourishing winter dish becomes a liability during the peak heat of summer. Because external heat naturally draws the body's Agni away from the core to the skin, the digested fire is too weak to handle heavy foods, leading to the rapid formation of ama. Shifting from the season to the daily clock, the hour a meal is consumed is just as decisive. Eating heavy proteins or fats late at night, when the body's metabolic speed is at its lowest, prevents proper conversion into energy. There is a final variable to consider, the mind. Clinical Ayurveda notes that eating while under intense stress or distraction physically alters the secretions and movements of the digestive tract. For food to function as medicine, it must align with these external variables of time, season, and mental state. We can now look at these ancient contextual models through the lens of modern clinical research. Modern nutrition actively explores nutrient absorption variables. This chart shows how a baseline absorption rate spikes upward when a secondary element is introduced, a common example being the use of vitamin C to facilitate iron uptake. While modern science doesn't validate every ancient taboo, such as the fish and milk rule, the core concept of antagonistic and synergistic pairings is a foundational part of metabolic study. Metabolic research now heavily emphasizes that circadian rhythms and meal frequency are variables that impact health as much as total caloric intake. Modern biologists and ancient physicians arrive at the same conclusion. No food exists in a vacuum. Its impact is always a product of its surroundings. Evaluating traditional dietary rules through contemporary metabolic testing demonstrates that observational data and laboratory science are often tracking the same biological outcomes. These complex variables can be simplified into 5 actionable lessons for daily life. First, avoid incompatible food pairings that create metabolic confusion.